We continue now at the top of Daf Samechet Sanhedrin Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 68b. This is the beginning of the 8th parak of Mesechet Sanhedrin. The Mishnah says, Ben Sora Umora, when it comes to a rebellious son. And Rashi explains, Ben Sora Umora Seder Niskalin. We're talking here about different cases that involve skila, stoning. Tatanya B'Pirkan Dil'el, we learned that earlier in the earlier parak, Messiah Halchos V'Azil. So here, we're concluding those halachas regarding skila. So when it comes to Ben Sora Umora, Me'emasai Nasa Ben Sora Umora, from what point in time does he become a Ben Sora Umora? Mishayavishtei Saros, from the time that he brings forth the 2 hairs of maturity. Rashi says, Mishayavi Beisaros Aval Makami Hachi, but before that, Lo Mianish, he cannot be punished. Kidmefarish V'Yazal, as will be explained. Shadayin Lo Ba L'Chlal Mitzvahs, because he hasn't yet entered into the category of mitzvahs, into the category of a bar mitzvah. Viad sheyakif zakan hatachton, until the zakan hatachton, the lower beard, becomes filled with hair. V'lo ha'elyon, but not the upper beard. Ela shedibru chachamim b'loshen nekiah, but the chachamim, they speak in a clean language. That's why they refer to it as the zakan hatachton, which is actually a reference to the hair that grows around the aver. Rashi explains that sheyakif zakan sheyeh zakan mukaf sar saviv kulo, that it's filled with hair. There's hair surrounding the aver. Hatachton v'lo ha'elyon, the lower one and not the upper one, meaning lo zaken mamish. We're not talking about his actual beard, which is usually what that word refers to. Ela zakan oso hamakom, it means the hair that grows around that area. Ela shedibru chachamim b'loshen nekiah, but the chachamim, they speak in a cleaner language. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, kiyeh lo ish ben, it says that there's a ben. When it says ben sora umora, it refers to him as a son. We understand that to mean ben v'lo bas, he's a son and not a daughter. It refers to a boy and not a girl. And ben v'lo ish, he is a son but not a man. That's why once already you have zakan ha'elyon, he's already considered an ish, and there's no ben sora umora. But katan pater, but if he's a minor, he is pater. Shelo ba l'chlal mitzvos, because he's not yet in the category of mitzvos. And Rashi explains, Shenemar ben v'lo ish, again it says son and not man. V'zem mishikef zaken, ishu, at the time he already has a beard, he's already an ish, he's out of the category of ben sora umora. V'avagav de ben mikatnuso kori ben. Now even though when somebody's a minor, they're also called ben, lo matzina l'chiyuve mekame sheyavi beis shtei saros. We cannot make him liable before he has those 2 hairs of maturity to katan pater, because certainly a minor will be exempt, shelo ba l'chlal mitzvahs, because again he's not in the category of a bar mitzvah. Hilka chiyuve basar hachi, therefore the liability has to be after already he's reached maturity. Now even though once he has those 2 hairs of maturity, for all halachas in the Torah, he is considered an ish, he's considered a man. Nevertheless, even though the pasuk is excluding an ish, we're not excluding an ish in the beginning of when he is an ish, in the beginning of those stages of maturity. Like the Gemara will explain, ben hasamach legvurasa shalish. We darshan it to be a son that's close to the gevura of a man. Alma betchilas ishuso chayve kra. You see that in the beginning of ishuso, in the beginning of when he is an ish, that's when the pasuk says that he is liable. And the Gemara says katan minolan de pater. From where do we know that a katan is pater when it comes to a ben sora umora? The Gemara says minolan. What do you mean from where do we know? Kedekatani taima. That's what the Mishnah taught the reason. Shelo ba l'chlal mitzvahs, because he's not yet in the category of a bar mitzvah. Vesu, and further, hecha eshkechan do anash hakasov. Where do we find that the pasuk punishes? Rashi says, Hecha eshkechan b'shar onshin, the anash hakasov as hakatan. Where do we ever find punishments for a minor? The hachi boy kra lemifteri, that over here you're going to need a pasuk to exempt him. And the Gemara continues again, the hachli boy kra lemifteri, that here we should even need a pasuk to exempt him. And the Gemara says, Anon hachi karmin, and here's what we were really saying. Atu ben sora umora al cheto nereg. As a ben sora umora, is he killed because of the sin that he committed? That's not true. Al shem sofo nereg. The reason why a ben sora umora is killed is because we look towards what will be the end of this individual, and therefore we kill him now because of what it will come to. V'kevan al shem sofo nereg, and so therefore, since it's true that he's killed al shem sofo, afilu katanami, that was our question. Even a katan as well should be killed as a ben sora umora. V'yod, and further, ben v'lo ish katan mashma. When you say ben v'lo ish, so that implies that we are talking about a katan, a minor. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yudah Marav. Rav Yudah says that Rav says, the Amar Kra, it's because the pasuk says, V'chiyeh lo ish, The language is v'chiyeh lo ish ben, and we understand that to mean ben hasamach l'gvuraso shalish, a son who is close to the gevura of a man. And Rashi explains, Zatu ben soru mor al shem cheto nereg, as a ben soru mor, is he killed because of a sin? Dini boy bar onshin, that it should be required that he be able to have punishments in general. V'chi machet sheyehareg v'nei shachal tartim arbosar v'shasa chatzi log yayin. What sin did he commit that's worthy of the death penalty just because he ate some meat and he drank some wine? The al shem sofer nereg, the reason why he's killed is because of what's going to come of him. Kidim afarash b'shili pirkin, like will be explained at the end of the parak. Sov shmegamer nechsayav v'mevakesh limudo ve'eno motzi. It goes through at the end of the parak what's going to happen to this child. Amra Torah mutav yamas zakai ve'al yamas chayiv, and therefore the Torah says better that he should die while he's still innocent and not die while he is chayiv. And again, the Gemara brought the pasuk v'chiyel leish ben soru mora lekashiyagia lechlal ish. When he reaches the category of ish, haben hazeh korei lo hakasa ben soru mora. When he reaches that category, that's when we refer to him as a ben soru mora. Again, a ben hasamach legevuraso shalish. He's a son that is close to the might of a man. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, "V'yad sheyakif zakan atachton," until the lower beard is filled with hair. Tani Rabbi Chia taught at sheyakif ataretz, until the crown of the aver is surrounded by hair, the corona of the aver. Kiyasar Rav Dimi Amar, when Rav Dimi came, he said, "Hakofas gid v'lo hakofas beitzim." What we're referring to is the surrounding of the gid, the surrounding of the penis with hair, and not the surrounding of the beitzim, not the surrounding of the area with the testicles. Rashi explains, Tani Rabbi Chia taught Masnise, he taught in his Bryce as follows, Hachi as follows, Mishayavish te saros, at sheyakif zaken, at sheyakif ataretz, until the atara, until that's surrounded. Kiyasar Rav Dimi persha dehadetana, at sheyakif atara. Rav Dimi then explained what that means. What does it mean atara? Lashmina dehakafas zakan hatachton dekatani. What he's really teaching is that when it says hakafas zakan hatachton dekatani masnisen in the Mishnah, hakafas gid kamar samach lebeitzim, means the surrounding of the gid, which is near the beitzim. V'lo hakafas hakis shal beitzim, not the surrounding area of the sack of the beitzim, to have a lebasar achituva, because that already comes much later. That is not what we are referring to. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Chisda says, Katan shaholid ein beno nasa ben soru mor. If you have a situation of a katan shaholid, a minor that gives birth, his son does not become a ben soru mor. Shenemar, as it says, kiyel lo ish ben. It says that the man has to have a son. Lo ish ben, a man has to have that son. V'lo leben ben, not a son having the son. And Rashi explains, Rav Chisda's savar katan shelo hevi shtei saros molid. Rav Chisda, who holds that you can have a minor who doesn't have 2 hairs of maturity, he's able to give birth. And again, we say that in such a situation, his son does not become a ben soru mora. That is excluded from the pasuk. But the Gemara continues, Haimi boile lechid Rav Yehuda marav. But isn't that pasuk needed for what Rabbi Yehuda taught? For what Rav Yehuda taught that Rav said? Rashi explains, lechid Rav Yehuda damar hai lo ish ben soru mora atzmokai. We've already darshan that word ish by ben soru mora, and it's referring to the ben soru mora himself. V'hachi kamar kashia ha ben leish kilomar kashia gilach lalish. Just like we said when he's at the beginning of that adulthood, isn't that what the pasuk is referring to? So how are we now using this pasuk for Rav Chisda's teaching about a katan shaholid? And the Gemara says to that, MK, no, if so, if it was only what Rav Yehuda said that Rav said, le makra, then the pasuk could have said kiyeh ben laish, when there's a son laish to the man. My kiyeh laish ben, why does it say laish ben in that order? Shma mina lechid Rav Chisda. So you see from that, the way that it's phrased, the teaching of Rav Chisda as well. Rashi explains, Hachi Garcina Nimkain Lemakra Ben Leish, the Mashmashaber, Dachi Kamar Kiyaha Ben Lechlalish. If it would have said it that way, Ben Leish, it means when the son reaches that stage of adulthood. My Kiyah Leish Ben, why does it say it in the order of Kiyah Leish Ben? Hashta Mashma Kashiyah Leish Ben, that implies that the man has a son. Tahayisha Avoskai, that's going on the father. Vilamuute de Benoshal Katan Pater Liolam, and again that would exclude that the son of a minor is going to be Pater. But the Gemara continues, Ve'ema kulei lahachi hudasa. But then why don't we say that the pasuk is totally teaching us this idea of Rav Chisda? And the Gemara says, no, im kain nemakra ben ish. Then it would have just said ben ish. My leish ben. Why does it say leish ben? Shma min atarti. So you see again both halachas. Rashi says, V'ema kuli haikra lechid Rav Chisda hu da'asi lemute beno shel katan. Maybe the pasuk is only coming from Rav Chisda's teaching to exclude the son of a minor. Aval katan atzma mechayiv. Maybe a minor is actually chayiv to have ben ksiv, because it does say ben v'samach legvuraso shalish menolan. How do you know this drush of samach legvuraso shalish, that he's close to the might of a man? And the Gemara said, Hachi Garsinim Kain Lema Krakia Benish. It could have just said Benish. Im Kain Dekulia Avos Kaifa. That's all that was going on. The fathers, it would say Benish. Lo Lichtov Be Lamed. It doesn't have to have the Lamed. Elavachia Ben Ish Sora Mora. Tamashma Beno Shalish. Velo Beno Shal Katan. Then it would have implied the son of an Ish and not the son of a Katan. Mai Vachia Lo Ish. Why does it say Lo Ish? Lama Hiktim Lo Ish Beresha. V'hutzrach Lahatel Bo Lamed. Why is Lo Ish first with a Lamed? Shma Mine Tard. You see both. Misham Dahashta Mashma Hachi Umashma Hachi. Now you can read it both ways. Ki Ben Lo Ish Kashiyagil Gvura. So Shalish. The implication is he has to reach the Gevura of a man. Umishtamanami Avos. It also sounds like it's going on the fathers. Ki Lo Ish Gadol Ben Velo Shayia Lakatan Ben. It has to be a man who has the son and not a minor who has the son. And the Gemara continues with Pliga Rabba. In this teaching above, it argues on Rabba. The Yoma Rabba, because Rabba says, Katan Eino Mo, that a minor is not even able to give birth. Shenemar, like it says in the Pasuk, Im Ein Lo Ish Goel, if the man has no redeemer. V'chi Yesh Lach Adam B'Yisrael, is there any man among the Jewish people, She'ein Lo Goel, who has no redeemer? Ela Begezel Hager HaKosam Edab. Rather, this Pasuk, the context, is talking about the stealing of a convert. Rashi explains, Upliga de Rabba, this argues on Rabba. Hadar Rav Chisda, that which Rav Chisda said, Yamar Katan Shemolid Pater, who said a minor who gives birth is Pater by Ben Sora Mora Dalma de Katan Molid. So you see, Rav Chisda holds a minor is able to give birth. Pliga de Rabba, that argues on Rabba. The pasuk of V'im Ein Lo Ish Goel, it says if the man has no redeemer, Gabe Gezel V'nishbal Sheker. This is talking about someone who steals and then he takes a false oath. Techsiv Le'el Minei V'Zvadu Es Chatosom Asherosu V'Heshev Es Hashamo Berosho V'Hai Hashamo Keren Shel Gezel. It says that they're going to confess their sin and they'll return Hashamo, what was guilty, meaning they'll return the principle of what was stolen. And so again, it said that there was no redeemer. She'ein lo goalim. He has no redeemer. Ein l'cha adam b'Yisrael she'ein lo goalim. There's no person of the Jewish people that has no redeemers. Calls man shelo kol b'nei Yaakov akarav kodem. As long as there are Jewish people around, you're going to have to find some relative. Whoever is the closest relative is the goel, is considered the redeemer. And so therefore we say begezel hager. What happened is it was stolen from the convert. Umeis la'achar shenishbalo, and then the convert died after the person took the oath to him. V'ein lo yarshim, and then there are no heirs in this situation. He's a convert, not considered to have relatives. That's what the pasuk is talking about, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Samech Tes Amud Aleph.